what's interesting is advanced players had no problem with this. If you're already familiar with games like Warcraft or StarCraft or any RTS game, this was not a problem for you. You already understood the importance of planting sunflowers first. It's only brand new players, casual players, who had a problem with this idea. And so it's another important lesson, which is if you're designing for everyone, Popcap designs games for everyone. Kids, adults, men, women. If you're designing a game for everyone, you have to test it with everyone. We only discovered this problem because we were asking our wives and our girlfriends to play the game. Because all the people Popcap, even the QA people, had no problem with this idea. It was not until non-gamers started trying the game that they realized that this was too hard. So that's another important lesson. Design your game and test the game with everyone. So here's another example. So in fact, the final version took more than 4 years from when we first started it. So here, this is 2009, and the original prototype was 2005, 4 years. And this is the final result. You can see here, the pricing is fixed and a lot of other issues are fixed. So quality takes time. You can't rush quality. You have to do lots of testing, lots of iteration. I probably have on my laptop here at least 10 different versions of the games from different stages along the way that we built. Okay, so the next lesson is after you've built a great game, you have to build a great smartphone game. And if you're launching first on PC like Popcap, these are different steps. If you're launching first on a smartphone, then these are combined together. Well, what does it take to build a great smartphone game? Well, there's a few things you have to do. The controls have to be great, right? Especially with a touch screen. Designing the UI is everything. And the game is the UI. And so the UI does not feel fun and responsive. If just pushing the buttons is not fun, then you don't have a great UI. So building great UI, and then changing the game or designing the game around the limitations of the smartphone are also really important. So let me give you some examples. So for example, here what we're looking at is on the left side is the PC version of the game, and on the right side is the iPhone version of the game. And so there's a few things that jump out. Well, the first thing you'll notice is that the buttons on the iPhone version are much bigger, right? They have to be. On an iPhone, the screen is so much smaller, you have to make bigger buttons so the player can push them. Something that's a lot less easy to see, the heads on the zombies are bigger. I don't know if you can tell that or not, but on the zombies, we made the heads about 20% bigger, so they would be easier to see. Okay? Some other examples, we also moved the UI around. So for example, at the top, you'll notice the progress meter, this thing, is you move this from down here, right, up to here, and also made it a lot bigger, so it's easier to see. So there's some simple examples of things we did to make it fit the iPhone better. Another example is the UI. So this is the original UI on PC. And we had a lot of things going on there. On the iPhone, we made it simpler, but also made it fit multiple screens. And you can see on the bottom right some examples of different UI on the iPhone. So you've got to be willing to make a lot of changes to build a successful smartphone game. Another important lesson is thanks to the fact that you have continuous connectivity, you're always online, whether it's 3G or 2G, successful games update frequently. Right? Even a PVZ on the iPhone, we have a schedule of every 3 months we release an update. But some companies do it even more than that. For example, the company that makes Angry Birds. Angry Birds, they update the game practically every 2 weeks, it seems. And they don't charge more money. So every time they release an update, it's still free. If you buy the game once, and it's like forever new content. But it's working for them because the game keeps getting updated, people keep trying it, keep playing it, they keep telling their friends, it stays in the top 10, and being in the top 10 is everything. So that's very important. So update frequently. Also, the technology changes all the time. You know, the iPhone keeps getting updated. Android is even worse. If you're building a game for Android, and we're a big believer in Android, especially in China, if you're building for Android, then the technology is even changing faster. So you've got to be prepared to not just build a game once, but then keep investing in that same game. All right, the sales, going back to the sales graph, going back to this chart, if you build a game right, the sales keep going up, right? So we're selling more copies now than we did when we first launched, because more and more phones keep getting sold, if the game is a great game. So don't think about having this game come out and selling for 1 month and then going dead. If you build a great game, it'll keep going up over time, but you have to be willing to keep investing in the game over and over and over again. And of course, listen to your players. Players will often have suggestions that you can listen to and measure and grow from. Another lesson we learned is leveraging social networks. So, connecting a social network to your game can have immediate impact on the sales of your game. So our lessons here were from our game called the Jeweled Blitz. Has anyone played the Jeweled Blitz on Facebook? Anyone? Jeweled Blitz? Not so many. Okay, Bejeweled Blitz is a social version of our most famous game, Bejeweled. And Bejeweled has been on Facebook for a long time. What we did, and I should say that the iPhone version of Bejeweled has been out for a long time. In fact, this is usually in the top 10 iPhone games, like around 5 or 6. It's a very popular game. What we did is we added support for Facebook to the iPhone game. So you could actually log into Facebook from the iPhone game. It would show you your friends, and then when you're playing the game on the iPhone, it would keep track of your high score and let you post your high score to Facebook. A relatively simple change. So what was the impact of making this change? Well, here is a graph of our sales before and after we added the Facebook connectivity. So that big spike there is after we added the Facebook connectivity. Many more people started buying the game on the iPhone because they learned about it on Facebook. And even after we got past that initial spike, sales leveled out at around 2 to 3 times more than before we added the social graph, the social connectivity. And even today, we're seeing actually revenue from this game growing because now we've added in-app purchasing. So you buy the Facebook, the iPhone game one time, and then you can keep buying more stuff in the game using almost like a free-to-play model. And that's actually doing really well for us now. So social connectivity is huge. In fact, I believe that the next big wave of growth in mobile is all about social mobile. And people are already talking about it. In Japan today, the #1 market is mobile social. Not yet in North America, not yet in China, but it's coming very soon. In fact, at Popcap, almost every game we build now is connecting social and mobile features together, because we believe that this is really the next big wave of growth and innovation. So I highly encourage you, if you're building mobile games today, absolutely should be thinking about the social connectivity piece to a social network or to your own online features. So devices. Probably the hardest part about being successful in the mobile space for a small developer is the range of devices you have to support. Even for a pretty big company like Popcap, this is a challenge. For example, right now, we don't have an HD version of Android Plants vs. Zombies. We should. Everyone wants it. We're working on it. We'll have it soon. But even now, one or 2 years after launch, we still don't have an Android version of PVZ. Why? Because supporting so many devices is hard. And there are technologies you can use, like AirPlay and others, which make it easier, but it's still a lot of testing and QA and engineering work to do this. So this is hard. But if you're successful, then every time you support a new device, you grow your market even wider. And I will say that personally, I'm a big believer in tablets. I think tablets are the most exciting innovation in gaming, mobile gaming, in a long time. In fact, I've got a short video I'll show you about Popcap's iPad version of PPT. gamer, I genuinely believe that the tablet version is better than the smaller form factor, even the PC version. And in the future, as we build more and more games for tablets, we're going to probably start to figure out all new UI designs that only work with tablets. I mean, my kids are 6, and they love my iPad. I have trouble, when I come home from work, I have trouble getting back from them because they just want to play games on it. Much more than on the PC. We have PlayStation, Wii, PCs at home. My kids would much rather play a game on the iPad than almost anything else. So I think there's a lot of growth there. Okay, free-to-play. So here in Asia, or in China, I don't need to tell you that free-to-play is a good business model, right? It's really kind of the only business model here that works because of piracy. But in other markets like North America, selling games is still a good business model. But we believe that free-to-play is a much better business model. And going forward, more and more games from Popcap will be free-to-play. And especially in China and Asia, all the games we build here are free-to-play. Free-to-play makes sense for a lot of reasons. First of all, DRM is easily hacked. I mean, I can tell you this: as many copies as we're selling today on the iPad, we're not selling as many copies as I know are out there. I have plenty of friends who've told, "Wow, I love PVZ on the iPad." And I say, "Oh, great! Did you buy it in the App Store?" I say, "Oh, no, it was pre-installed when I got my iPad already." So clearly, there's a lot of DRM problems with mobile games. And second of all, there are so many OEM embed opportunities. I mean, every single OEM out there, and there's a bunch of them here to show, need great content for their devices. And if your game is free, it's a lot easier to get that game embedded on that device than if it has a cost and you've got to do a license deal or something. So if it's free, you can get it out there more easily, and then once it's out there, then you can make money inside the game itself, of course. So we're a big believer of that. If you look at, for example, the App Store, they actually have here's an example of the in-app purchase model from iPhone for my group, where you can buy packs of items for different amounts. And what's great about the Apple App Store is it makes it very easy to do this kind of one-click in-app purchase. I believe everyone out there is making app stores now. There's probably going to be 20 or 30 different app stores pretty soon. I hope most of them support this kind of item purchase model. Now you have to be careful that this is not the user experience. So this is a joke. You want to spend more money so the game can do what you thought it was going to do in the first place. And this is painful for users when they have to first buy the game and then pay money for the items. If the game is free, this is less of an issue. Most users don't mind paying money for items or content or bonus packs if the game is free. So another reason why free-to-play makes sense as opposed to pay-to-play and then try to sell the items, which doesn't make as much sense. So just a couple other statistics. I don't know how many of you know much about Popcap. We've had a lot of success on a lot of different platforms. So we've been on PC Mac, we've been on mobile phones, we've been on the World Web, we've been on Facebook now for a long time. Part of what makes Popcap successful, I think, is trying to combine all these platforms together. So I know this is a mobile games conference, and I think mobile games are great, but I think mobile games are especially great when they connect with other platforms. So mobile games connected to social networks, connected to web games, connected to PC games. So I think it's a combination that really makes it powerful for players.